Amboy, New Jersey, it's a tough town, but you learn to adjust with sports, with certain crowds that you grew up with, different, towns.
One, two. 1, 2. 1, 2, sub 2.
I did a lot of sports. I started with baseball when I was a kid, and then I would always see my uncle leaving to this boxing thing. All you hear is boxing, boxing, boxing. So my dad would take me to the boxing gym, and I remember my first time, the day that my dad let me box. I didn't want to go that day, but I was playing with my Ninja Turtles, and then he said, "Come on, we're gonna go box." I said, "Well, you got these two, take them with you." And he said, "No, you're gonna box." So I said, "Why?" He goes, "Don't worry about it. I see something in you." So we went to the boxing gym, and when I first went, I didn't like it, but I started watching my uncle, and I started watching so many people support him and love him, and just their eyes were on him. So I said, "Damn, I didn't get that playing baseball, so I want to do that when I box." So I would box, I would train, I would watch everything he would do, and my other uncle was there too, and he would train my uncle and my dad actually. So we just, worked around that through my uncle's schedule, and there were days where there were easy days in the boxing gym, and there was real hard days because there were things that I didn't know how to do that I would eventually learn and pick up, and it was just things like that in the boxing world, that I'm thankful that my uncle paved the way for me and my family to be where we're at. The crazy thing is I started when I was 8 years old. We started playing baseball, but I didn't know at 8 years old we can still go to the boxing gym. So I would go to the boxing gym, and they would tell me, at 8 years old, this is the perfect age to start. So I said, "Oh man, so I want to do this." So I could actually do this, and then my coach Victor, rest in peace to him, he was actually my first boxing coach and the main coach at the time in Perth Amboy, and he always told me he saw something in me and was like, "I want you to box under us. You'll be one of my main JOs, with one of the other guys in the gym." So we just started boxing. I started sparring everybody there, all the kids, and as I progressed to be the fighter I was as a JO, we just started doing competitions. I got 3 uncles, and well, 2 uncles and my cousin who box. My uncle Roberto Munoz, he's the one who actually got. My other uncle Reyes Munoz, who actually took it to the next level, and my cousin Hector, who it was them 3 who always be in the boxing gym. So then my dad would be like, "Come on, we're gonna go work out. I'm gonna go work out with these guys." And watching my cousin, my dad, my uncles box, it was crazy. 'Cause I used to be like, "Why everybody's so stuck on this sport?" And when they started showing me how good my uncle was, he ended up fighting Antoro Gotti. My uncle actually fought him in Atlantic City. I think it was 96, 97. It wasn't a fair fight. He was 20 pounds heavier. But at the time, we're from Perth Amboy. We look at the money sign, and my uncle took the fight. He didn't care. We had 30-day notice, took the fight, and our whole family respected him for that. Even the whole town for taking that big step. And not too many people from Perth Amboy fight stars, and Gotti's a big figure in the boxing world. So, he fought him. Eventually, he didn't get the decision that he wanted. My uncle ended up getting knocked out, but he did something that not a lot of people could do. It takes heart to get in the ring, let alone get in HBO and fight, in front of everybody. And then and knowing that you got a bunch of people watching HBO that night. So my uncle took a big hit, but he also earned a lot of respect and a lot of love from the town. My dad never actually fought that I could remember. He was more into baseball, and then he translated to softball. But he was more just working out with my uncles and having fun with it. My uncles were the one that competed. His older brother, his name is Roberto, but we call him Ponce. He was basically like our trainers at the time, helping Victor. And he was just there. My dad was just there just to help polish my Uncle Reyes, the one who fought Gotti, and they just wanted to make sure he was the one to take it to the next level. My cousin Hector Munoz, he's naturally a wrestler, and everything was about wrestling in his world. He's won a couple amateur belts and he's competed all over, but he started noticing that everybody from the family was in the boxing gym, so we would go to the boxing gym. Everything was about boxing, and don't get me wrong, there were times we would go support his wrestling matches, but at the end of the day, he knew it was about boxing. When the families have gatherings, it was always about boxing, go to watch the boxing fights. So, he fell into what we were doing, and then he supported it and helped my uncle out too. From my recollection, my first boxing gym was in Elm Street in Perth Amboy. That was Victor's gym. We had tons of fighters. He had a bunch of amateurs. They had a bunch of pros. We had guys like Franklin. We had guys like Angel Vasquez. We call him Facha. We had guys like Willie. We had guys like I got a friend called Juanito. We had tons of fighters from Amboy. I can't remember all of them, but yeah, Victor had everybody in Amboy going to his gym to compete out of. Well, my first fight was probably one of my worst fights. I remember like it was yesterday. We were going to my grandma's house. We had to go for the weigh-in at 5 o'clock. My dad said, "You're gonna go to grandma's to eat," and I said, "I don't think we could eat rice and beef there," but he fed me that before I fought. So leading up to the fight, he had me on a full stomach. We go to the fight. I find out I was supposed to fight in the middle. I ended up fighting first. My whole family was there. I'm going toe-to-toe with this kid who's trying to take my head off, not realizing that the emotions in my mindset, that my family's there, what I ate that day. I remember the last round, when the fight was over, I walked to my corner and I threw up on Victor's hand. And he was, instead of him being mad at me, he was so proud of me because he said, "You waited to the end of the third round to let it out when we knew something was bothering you." So I fought through it. It was maybe one of the toughest experiences in my life, but again, it's an experience that I'll never forget. In amateurs, I've went to 3 different gyms, and altogether I have 49. I've won 49 wins, lost 11, and I've won 2 state titles and 2 Diamond Glove championships. I've competed in the Golden Gloves a few times, always coming up short, whether it was in the finals, semifinals, first round. It was, for some reason, I couldn't get that one. But I got 2 out of the 3 main tournaments in New Jersey. Well, at the time, it was kind of hard to travel to go see my dad fight. Those times, my mom was sick, so my dad would go to the fights and he would keep us with our mom to take care of our mom. I had a tragic death for my mom, and my dad felt like being with your mom as much as you could, wasn't really telling us why, but we would still go to the gym here and there when my dad would come. But as far as the boxing fights, my dad would just do it because he wanted to stay home. And I never really got to see my uncle fight, like face to face. It's because, like I said, my mom was going through something, so we just would stay home and spend as much time we could with my mom and my brothers. Well, I wish my brothers boxers. As brothers, you want to beat each other up and see where each other are at. But My older brother was in the streets. My little brother was more into staying home with my mom. And then a couple years later, my little brother was born, and then, now he wants to box, and I try to train him, and but he ended up getting a job, and then he moved to Dallas, and that's his career. But my little brother is Melvin, my other little brother is Noel, and then my older brother, they call him Ghost, but his name is Xavier Munoz. So yeah, those are my brothers. Well, I never trained to my max, and I never, it was always something in the streets, either girls, either street life, it was always something holding me back, then, losing my mom, having a bad living with my dad, never having I never had a home where I knew was home. I would go to the gym and I would come back home, wonder if I could stay there. Because me and my dad would bump heads. We would just always bump heads. So I never had a stable home. That's what it's at. Never had a stable home growing up. And as a fighter, to go pro, you have to have more than just skills to shoot that level. You gotta sleep good. You gotta eat good. I never had that support. Some people will say that's an excuse, but to me, I just didn't have the proper team that I wish I had. I wish my uncles, my dad, would have been all one. But after my uncle stopped fighting, everybody just went their own ways. So, I was just stuck in the boxing gym trying to, bring the team back, family back. It just never happened. I started at 106. I went to 112. I went to 119. I went to 125. I went to 132, and that's the highest I ever went. And I would say my best performances came at 112, 119. That's where I won my championships, my state titles, and my Diamond Glove titles. And as you get older, the competition gets better. So if you're not training to that level, you're gonna come up short. But if you got the proper team, the right team with you, then the sky's the limit for you. Well, coming from Perth Amboy, you're gonna get distracted, right? With women, you got the drug game, you got other sports that you might want to play that people are gonna tell you to try to pull you in. And I always wanted to box, so I always knew that I can't smoke, can't drink, can't be out, So I always told myself, I lost my mom and my grandmothers. Why would I be mentally messed up if I'm already physically hurt from everything? As a fighter, to be one of the best, you have to understand that you get distracted with girls. You got your street guys, and you got certain people that you want to look up to, but you start to realize those are not the people that you want to be around. Because at the end of the day, when you want to box, it's just you in there. Nobody who you want to be around can help you. So when you think like that, you gotta also understand you gotta watch what you eat. Can't drink, can't smoke. Some people say you can't have sex, but it depends on your mentality. But and also how you grew up, right? You gotta also be strong and dedicated to the sport. You gotta watch film. You gotta put the work in. You gotta put the miles in. You just gotta dedicate yourself to the things that is gonna take you to that limit, and not let no one or nothing distract you. So what I would do, I would stay away from people like that. People who want to go in the street and use you. Because when you're a fighter, people think that, oh, I'm gonna call this guy. Because if I get into problems, he's gonna help me. You gotta think about that too. What kind of friends do you have around you? Why are they your friends? Are they gonna use you because you're a fighter, or are they gonna use you because they want to help you elevate? So at the end of the day, you gotta also evaluate your circle. So I gotta tell people, it's a mental game, right? While you're boxing, but you also don't want to, be distracted, because once you get in that ring, you already know I either had sex, so maybe my legs are wiggly. I either didn't sleep enough, so I might get a little tired. So you got to factor in everything that you're doing leading up to your fight. because you don't want to think about nothing you did wrong, because that carries with you in the fight. So those are the things. Well, I ended up picking up softball because I wanted to do something different. When you boxing since you 8 years old, and then Perth Amboys not bringing the boxing gyms that you want. You're fighting all different places, and you're representing all these gyms, and you're from Perth Amboy, but you got to represent Middletown and Newark, and I fought in so many different gyms. I had to go to Florida one time and fight out there, and it's like, you're representing other towns. So I said, you know what? Let me do something different. Let me see if I can win something different. In boxing, the only one I didn't get was the Golden Glove. So I said, you know what? I got everything else as an amateur. Let me see what this sport I could do with this sport. So again, all my friends were doing it, so I ended up playing softball. I actually got 3 championships out of the 5 years that I did play. I ended up suffering my first injury. I never got injured in boxing, but played softball my 5th year. My last year, I ended up getting hurt. So, but then at that point, I already reached my goals as a softball player. So I said, you know what, let me shift my attention back to boxing, but this time as a coach. And this is a whole new life that I'm trying to bring now. I'm actually working with the city, with a good friend of mine, Omar Rivera, detective, Perth Amboy, one of the coaches, Renee. We're trying to establish a team, my friend Steven. We're trying to see what we could do. We got another guy, Coach Paul. We're trying to put together a boxing program for the youth. We try to show them the ways to become a great fighter, a better fighter than we ever was. So we're hoping for the best. Hopefully Perth Amboy Boxing gets it together, and we have a gym out there. There's 2 fighting right now, but if I had to go past, I would say Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, of course, and Andre Ward.
Okay.
Sugar Ray Leonard, because he could do it all. He's fast. He's full of combinations. He fought the best. He fought everybody. So I'll always put him number 1. Andre Ward, because it's kind of hard for a boxer to represent God and stick to that, and for him to do what he did as a fighter, knowing his dad and his family was going through whatever he went through, and then it also distracted him a little bit, but then for him to turn back to God and stick to that and have the name Son of God to fight and never lose is something that you got to respect. Well, Mayweather, because he's the best. He accomplished everything. He's also come from nothing. He's came up, with a mom who was in drugs, dad in jail. For him to be, portrayed as a bad person or arrogant person, well, think about where he came from. Think about what he accomplished. He's the number 1 boxer with the most money, the best defense. Everybody wants to be like him. No one wants to take an L. He's paid for so many people that died that he's fought their funerals. He's donated so much donated to so many programs, and I just think he's the best boxer all around. People think otherwise, but I have my reasons why. To me, he's the best. My favorite baseball team is the New York Yankees. My favorite football team is your favorite football team, the Dallas Cowboys. They're the best, and it's good to talk to Giant fans and Eagle fans. It's good to debate. I love my Cowboys, even though they haven't won in 30 years or whatever it is now. But something about that star, that makes you want to be a star in what you do. So that's why I love those 2 teams. From 5 years from now, I want to be Perth Amboy's best boxing coach. I think I was learned by a lot of coaches, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great fighters from Perth Amboy paved the way for me. I see a lot of them not really training as coaches, so I want to be there for either their kids, their nephews, their nieces, and I just want to bring the best out of these kids in Perth Amboy, because Perth Amboy kids, it's all about fights, and why fight for a street, fight for a girl, fight for stupid stuff when you could fight for a reason, you know, to win something and to go somewhere with it. So hopefully that can happen.